Hello and welcome to WEC Talk, the podcast series from the FIA World Endurance Championship. I'm Martin Haven. In this episode, we'll chat to Philippe Sinault about the World Endurance Championship and ELMS as the Signatech Alpine team prepares to defend their LMP2 Le Mans title. In the Beckett briefing, Louise looks forward to the first 24-hour Le Mans race to be run in September in over half a century. But first, we catch up with Toyota Gazoo Racing's Mike Conway and José María López to talk about Spa and Le Mans and to answer some of your questions. First, a chance to speak to two of the drivers of Toyota Gazoo Racing's championship-leading number 7 TS050 hybrid, Mike Conway and José María López, fresh from their first win in Spa, along with teammate Kamui Kobayashi. Spa was their third win of the season, but they are still locked in a close battle with their title rivals in the number 8 garage. So Le Mans and Bahrain, the final rounds of the season, will be critical. Gentlemen, 6 months after the race in Kota, you were finally back behind the wheel last weekend, actually racing. How good did that feel?
It feels very good, actually. You know, we've been testing before. We had a test session, and it was good to get the rhythm of the car and all the things. But yeah, it was very nice, actually. You know, we tend to forget sometimes that how lucky we are, and this hard periods of time we've been outside the car, you know, being back in especially in Spa as well, a very nice track. It was nice, challenging, but yeah, in the end, I really enjoy it.
And Mike, does the body take time to get used to all that stress again? I mean, it's 6 months away. It must be the longest you've ever spent out of a car.
Yeah, you know, José said it right, really. I mean, it's just, we feel privileged really to get back in, and then you kind of, it's a bit of a switch really. You feel like, okay, you know, this is what we train for, this is what we live for, and it's just good to be back in the car. But it didn't take too long really. It felt like by the first lap you're into it, but then it's all about the tiny little things, just coming back to you, I guess, just making sure you're super consistent and all those things. But I think we already felt at home straight away. And then when we got to Spa, we were all on it, you know, and just raring to go really. So yeah, it's been great to be back. And now we're kind of back on the go again. Those, you know, 6 months that we were just hiding indoors and training and bits like that, it feels like it was long ago now for some weird reason. Now we're back on the go. It feels like a bit of normality, I guess. You know,
it's an important time of the year as well for us. A very important race is coming, the most important race for us as well, and an opportunity also for us. You know, Spa was very good for us, even if I mean, Mike will agree. We didn't expect it. The penalty, the handicap penalty was quite big for our car, but somehow this year everything come together. Since a few years we've been in Spa, we've been very quick. We've been very close to win the race, but never. We always had something coming wrong and don't allow us to win. So yeah, now looking to Le Mans and you know, I feel prepared. Honestly, it's going to be a different Le Mans, but as soon as we are inside the car, it's basically the same, you know. Push and don't make mistakes and try to be quicker than the others.
And Spa didn't really give you an easy return to racing, Mike, did it? I mean, we started behind the safety car because of a vast storm just before you're due to leave the pit lane, and the weather was pure Spa, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't. Hello, nice, comfortable return to racing.
Yeah, I mean, Spa never disappoints, does it, with the weather? So. I mean, it's definitely better than the year before, that's for sure. We didn't have snow and ice and all that this time, but to be honest, it was kind of good that we had the mixed conditions, because you got to prepare as well as you can for the next few races coming up. So, you know, there's a good guarantee that it could be pretty mixed at Le Mans in a month's time. So for me, it was good to have those mixed conditions and to go through the phases of starting wet, choosing the right moment to go to slicks, and then even raining again when it's on slick. So it was good to have that feeling again, and even to get your eyes in on what you need to be looking for on the track to see like when it's getting too wet or too dry, So it was pretty good just to do that. So I was happy with, sometimes when you're sat outside the car and you see it raining or mixed conditions, thinking, man, I'm glad I'm not in the car right now. And then, let your teammate or do it. But when you're in the car, it may be a bit tense sometimes, but when you get out, you feel good knowing that you've gone through those conditions and you've, you just feel good, a bit more prepared, let's say.
And Jose, not only was the weather tricky, but you also had the low drag Le Mans setup that you'll be using in September as well. Yeah. So that gives you a closer idea of what it might be like if it's cold, wet, and miserable at Le Mans as well. So that's all good preparation too, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, of course, since a few years we've been always using the low downforce package for Spa. Even probably it's not the ideal in terms of performance, but especially this year, as we haven't had the opportunity to test much. We need to put it on the track and run. Yeah, it's challenging in Le Mans, in Spa. Of course, it's hard to handle because of the grip, especially because of the weather. But it's a good feeling. Of course, it gives us a little bit of a taste of what is going to be Le Mans, but Le Mans is different. Spa still you are turning pretty much all the time. You can easily or easier than Le Mans, of course, to keep the tire temps as well in the car. And Le Mans is going to be in September this year, so it's going to be a longer night. It's going to be probably a bit colder or not. We'll see, but it's always challenging. But yeah, looking forward to be there and see how the car performs and how we are in comparison with the competition.
Tell us a little bit about strategy right at the beginning of the race. As we said, Mike, it was absolutely rivers of water. Then it dried. In a situation like that, does the team try and split the strategies, or particularly that early in the race, is that led by the driver and the engineer of the individual car? How does that sort of balance work between what you think you need and the team may be trying to cover both options?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, conditions were very heavy. I mean, the scariest bit was actually leaving the pits to do the Rico lap to the grid, because it was like a bloody river running down to Eau Rouge. And I could see even the GTs were having a hard time. So I was thinking, okay, it is as bad as I think it is then. Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky picking the right moment for the tyres. I pushed for the slicks. I knew it was like maybe a lap or two early, but, you couldn't wait any longer to do it. Otherwise, you're going to have to pit again like Car 8 did. But yeah, the team at that point, they said they weren't sure on putting me on slicks. They kept asking me, but I was pretty convinced that it was drying, because from turns 5 all the way around to turns 9, it was drying pretty quickly, and then I could see that the rest of the track was going to be getting there at some point. So I knew I just had to take it kind of fairly cautiously the first few laps, but at the same time you got to keep the tire temperature to keep everything working. So and then we could see after a lap or two that the laps were pretty even to the wets, and then with the caution coming out, that really just helped us then, because we had extra laps then to take it a bit easier, and the track just dried even more and more. And at that point, Car 8 knew they were going to be on the wrong tire on the restart, and and then it kind of just came to us at that moment, and just had to kind of slowly pick off the LMP2s, and then just put some good lap times in, and obviously you're pushing, but you're leaving margin, obviously, with the parts of the track still wet, and yeah, and yeah, it all worked out. But then we knew at any point it could rain again. And towards the end of my stint, the last lap, actually before I came in, it was getting wet pretty quick actually. So when we came in, changed drivers, we went back to wets again. And for the first 2 laps, it was kind of half dry, half wet. So Kamui had a tricky time as well, reading the conditions. But then after that, it rained very heavy again. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it's all about, trying to make the right calls. But you are a little bit in the hands of the weather gods, you know, of what they want to hand you. So, but yeah, it worked out good. And I think that's what won us the race, really, was making the right decisions. Yeah, I mean, we still had very good pace, even though we had the penalties, you know, and that's what really made sure that we held on to the win.
Jose, by the time you drove the car, you guys had a lead over the number 8 car for a while. In a situation like that, is it harder to lead and try and hold that lead, or is it harder to chase?
I think both are hard, but yeah, I mean, it was difficult because when I jumped in the car, we had like a 35 to 40 seconds lead, and when I jumped in the car with the traffic and everything, I saw the gap was the same. Basically, we were keeping the distance and everything was fine. But then after the safety car, we still knew that they had a bit of, I mean, advantage in the BOP. I mean, DOT for us, and we didn't knew how was, you know, especially in clean air. You know, these cars are changing all the time. You know, sometimes we lose some aero because of the marble. So yeah, when I saw car 8 behind me, and just with maybe 8 or 9 laps to the end of my stint, I knew I was quite playing the race at that time. So it was hard, but yeah, in the end, the car was feeling well. Kazuki catch me a bit, but not enough. And yeah, I managed to give to Mike a decent gap to maintain the lead. And also, you know, we were playing a bit with the fuel as well to try to we were very on the limit on doing an extra stop in the end. So we had to save fuel as well during my stint and Mike's stints. And that, I think, gave us the opportunity to avoid that stop in the end, which basically car 8 had to do it, just maybe 1 or 2 laps at the end. So yeah, it was nice. It was a nice fight, and yeah, it was you know, when it's harder the fight, and the better the taste after the victory, for sure.
Jose, tell us, what's the hardest thing about racing at Le Mans, and what's the best thing about racing at Le Mans?
The hardest thing in Le Mans, I think, is from my point of view, is the night. The night, I think, is you need from the driver and from the car all the 100%. I mean, you know, if the car maybe doesn't really get what you need on the night, and the tire pressure drops and you lose a lot of grip, and it can be a very bad thing. For example, it happened to me 2 years ago. And that can make you lose a lot of time. I think the night on Le Mans is probably the most important time. Is where you basically can win or lose the race. But I enjoy everything from Le Mans, basically every moment. The track, I mean, these cars are born for Le Mans. You know, this TS050 is a car that has been designed for Le Mans. Every single part of the car is made for perform 100% in Le Mans. So we're gonna have, first of all, we're gonna have a normal car, let's say. We're not gonna be limited. I mean, we're gonna come back to what this car can achieve, you know, having a fully boost, the fuel we need and everything. So it's gonna be, this is very nice, honestly, going out from the chicanes and have this mega boost, you know, and feeling the power of the car is amazing. And then for all the rest, of course, the people makes a big difference as well, because of course, these fans in Le Mans are unique. But as you said, and I said before, as soon as you close the door and you're racing, the racing is going to be the same. it's not going to change for us. So yeah, really looking forward. It's been a year. Of course, everyone knows what happened last year for us, and that made the waiting a bit longer. And I'm really looking forward to be in the car, and I'm looking for all revenge, let's say,
Okay, let's finish off then with some questions from the fans. We'll start with you, Mike.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Al-Shirawi and I'm from Bahrain. I'm 13 years old. My question to you is, how was your journey from karts to LMP1 and what were some difficulties you had along the way? And what advice would you tell your past self?
Interesting one. Yeah, if I could go back now, I'd probably go back to when I was like 24, and I'd have a real word myself because I was too stubborn and wouldn't listen to people, thought I knew better, and I clearly didn't. So yeah, I think I'd go back then and just have a word, and it might have made the next few years a little bit easier and with a bit more success, I'd say. So yeah, but that's part of growing up. Sometimes you need to go through some stages to figure it out. Well, it feels like a long journey, from go-karts to being in LMP1. But I guess I wouldn't change it really. It's been fun. Like, all the different categories of karting that you do go through, meet a lot of friends, and the people you race with then, you're racing with a lot of them now anyway. So that's cool that some of the people you're racing with, you still see them in the paddock and on the grid, and you still do battle with them. That's pretty cool. So I really enjoy that, and I guess over the years of all the categories, all the friends you make, and the different cars you drive, some you love, some you don't really love, and yeah, I guess getting to a factory team like Toyota, that was always like a dream after leaving IndyCar and stuff. And yeah, jumping into sports cars, that really opened up my eyes to what it was all about, and especially races like Le Mans. I just really loved the whole scene of sports cars, sharing your car with your teammates and being a real team player, and that was what I really enjoyed, and that kind of changed it for me, really.
Greetings, Pechito. I'm Gaston from Argentina, and I would like to ask you, how is your physical training for the Le Mans race?
Well, since maybe a couple of years, I use the bike quite a lot, especially as well because riding makes me, let's say, keep my weight online. Especially I'm the heaviest on the three drivers, and more or less 10 kilos in Le Mans is around 3-4 tenths per lap, So when you're racing against such a great drivers like Mike, Conway, Seb, Brandon and Kazuki, giving a little bit of an advantage, it's always hard, to compensate. So yeah, I've been cycling. I like it as well. It keeps me fit, and it gives you a lot of stamina, let's say, for the amount of time that we spend in the car in Le Mans, that it could be up to 4 hours, so per stint. So yeah, I feel very fit. Actually, I feel like I'm the fittest probably my whole time, my whole career. So I'm quite confident on that I'm going to be at least, I don't know if quick, but at least I'm not going to be tired in the car.
Hello, everybody listening to this week's WEC Talk. My question is, what do you enjoy most about being a racing driver? Thank you.
Favorite things, we get to drive mega cool cars, stuff that no one would ever get to drive. We're developing really cool systems on the cars, and to be part of that whole process is really cool, and it will trickle down eventually to, the road car development, things like that. Just sometimes when you're like driving around Paul Ricard or Portimao like 3 a.m, you feel like, oh man, I don't really want to be getting up right now. But then when you're out there in the car, you realize that this is just like the best fun, the best job in the world. It's, I think that's, if you can find a job you want to do every day and you really enjoy it, then you're in the right place. So it's just lots of fun. And the racing is what we really enjoy in the end, is the competition, battling hard with people, trying to do a better job. That's what it's about.
Hi Pechito, this is Mate, 21, from Hungary, an aspiring motorsport journalist. I've been following your career for quite a long time now, and you've raced against in touring cars, Formula E and WEC. And I would like to know who is the most underrated driver that you have raced against and might not be known internationally. Thanks in advance for the answer.
There is, motor racing is a cruel sport sometimes, I wouldn't say a name, but I remember a lot of drivers coming from go-karts, and they were fantastic, honestly, and many of them, they didn't make it, even to not Formula One, but some other series, Motorsport sometimes, it's about being in the right time and the right place, and many of us, we've been lucky to keep going, and finding places and keep racing, while others they haven't been that lucky, and the opposite as well. I mean, sometimes you see probably guys that maybe you say, that guy hasn't the talent that this guy had, and they made it even to Formula One. So it's a hard sport in that sense. I think it's something that probably has been improving, or we'll try. I think we need to try to improve, to make motorsport something that if you have the talent, you can make it. Of course, you always need a mechanical weapon, to say. A racing car are not cheap things, and you need also a backup. But there is many people honestly, that I remember that they were really exceptional drivers, and they never made it. It's a bit unfair sometimes, yeah.
Hello, my name is Frank from Paraguay, and my question for you is, what is your best memory on win a race? Thank you.
The best winning memory, I'd say my first win, which was in Fuji, with Mike and Kamui. That was one of the best, honestly.
And the night preceding as well.
Yeah, and the night organized by Kamui after. Yeah, he was very nice. He was in Japan as well, and honestly, as I always say, it's a pleasure for me to share the car with Mike and Conway. I mean, I couldn't imagine another teammates, that it's great to be with them. Hopefully maybe I can tell you at the end of the year. I hope so. Yeah. I'm looking for Le Mans. That's something I want to achieve, and that would be the biggest achievement of it.
Time now to catch up with our Louise Beckett for the Beckett Briefing. Louise, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And it's good to chat to you after Spa. I think Spa gave us a really good indication of how some cars, teams, tyres are going to be performing in the rain, which we think is probably inevitable at Le Mans.
And talking of Le Mans, that's the big news since we last spoke, that Le Mans will now be behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's a real shame, obviously, but at least it's still happening, because there are some events that we've seen surrounding those dates and those areas that have been cancelled completely. So yes, it will be behind closed doors, but the ACO, as they did with trying to make everything as safe as possible for the fans when they thought they were going to be there, are now trying to bring the fans as much as possible during the race week. So they're setting up a new platform. It's an additional website aside from the lemans.org or the FIAWEC.com websites, but it's going to give you so much access to so much more content, things that you would never have dreamt of seeing, even if you were on site. And so they're working hard on that to get that all going. That's called the Le Mans 24-Hour United and Responsible. All you need to do, it's free access, so all you're going to need to do is log in with your email address and fill in a form, and then that means, like I say, you can get 360 video from the garages, from the pit lane, from the grids, extra content from historical vids, from new things that are happening. So there's plenty for you to get your hands on and see and soak in that atmosphere.
Yeah, fans will be able to get to places that they would never be allowed to get to during race day and race weekend, and places that we never get to during race day and race weekend. And
I think you'll be quite excited to look at that platform, won't you?
I will be, definitely. And I think that Virtual Le Mans in June was a real eye-opener for the ACO to see just what a global demand there is for Le Mans. There will be families all over the globe who are making other plans for Le Mans weekend because the TV will be monopolised, and probably most of the internet as well.
I was just about to say laptops as well now, if they can get access for everything else. But there is also a charitable element to this. You can, if you wish, donate to a charity which are working towards the education and prevention of a potential second wave. But the best bit about that is if you do donate, then it means you can have your name put somewhere around the circuit. So a bit like the winners do with their handprints in the cement or on the Hollywood Hall of Fame, let's say, you can do that as well. So your name will be somewhere around the Le Mans circuit, which is pretty cool, I reckon. So if you do want to find out more about the platform or to search for it, then it's hashtag 24HUnited that you need to look for.
And finally, in parish notices, a date change in the diary, Louise.
Yes, well, with Formula One, we've seen that they've had to change a lot with their calendar, not only dates, but also location. And so the WEC have worked with the FIA on this, and we will be moving our final race of the season forward a week. So it will now be in Bahrain on Saturday, the 14th of November. The good thing about that is that everyone has managed to work together to make this possible, because there's only so many weeks that we can fit in so many races across all the different categories. So that's the good news.
That is the good news. Obviously, a date change, so a week earlier, but everybody hopefully will be able to get there. And you never know, we might get a dry race out of it, but we'll have to wait and see. This year has thrown a lot of curveballs in our direction.
Yeah, let's not speak too soon.
No, we got to deal with whatever Le Mans throws at us first, which is going to be a very interesting race weekend. So hopefully we'll be able to bring you lots more news once we have dealt with that. And in the meantime, Louise, have a good time.
Take care. See you soon.
Finally, in this episode, we catch up with Philippe Sinault, whose Signatech team has won a host of championships in single-seaters, then moved seamlessly into endurance racing over a decade ago with equal levels of success. Signatech's partnership with Renault Alpine has been ultra successful, with the team winning the European Le Mans Series titles in 2013 and 2014, and going on to triumph in LMP2 in the World Endurance Championship in 2016, and again in the Super Season 2018-19. In addition, of course, Signatech Alpine has also won the LMP2 category at Le Mans in 2017 and 2019. So it's a very warm welcome to Philippe Sinault. Philippe, you've just had 2 really busy weeks at Spa with the European Le Mans Series and World Endurance. How good was it to be racing again?
It's really, really enthusiastic and wonderful to race again, especially with this long breakdown period. So we were so happy, everybody, to have our race car on the track, especially on Spa track.
You talked about the long break, 6 months, no racing, no testing. What can a team do for 6 months?
For sure was a really, really special period. But because we have some other activities around motorsport, we have a well-managed tempest. And especially to produce car, the Alpine rally car, we start the project at the start of this year. So we built some cars for customers. and Cup also, and GT4 also. So we have some activities. So we are lucky on to make motorsport on this way.
All the time building cars, and nobody was crashing them. Now at Spa, obviously, the very good news is that Thomas was fine. But what about the car after that big crash?
Was a big crash, and as you can imagine, we were so scared about the crash. Signature is the birthday for Signature. There's 30 years of Signature exists, so it's the first time we have a so big crash. And in Spa, it's never a good time before Le Mans, as you can imagine. But hopefully, Laurent is okay, Thomas Laurent is okay. So it's a great news at the end, the most important news. So for the car, it's another story. We are now in a big tough time with the team, but we will be ready. As you can imagine, we are really well organized. The key for Le Mans, as you know, is the preparation, and we prepare the car and all the technical items since a long term now. So we are a little in emergency compared usually now, but we will manage and we will be ready with the same level of preparation compared to the year before.
Of course, you also have European Le Mans Series, so you'll be racing again in Le Castellet. Catherine Legge had a big crash in the car that you run for Richard Mille, and that car was damaged as well in the first race at Le Castellet. So how is the European Le Mans Series team? Have they got another car ready for the weekend?
Yes. It's really two different projects. So we manage totally in a different way with the same level of quality preparation and sport preparation also, but it's two really different projects. So we were able to be ready in Le Castellet in spite of the big crash, Catherine big crash. So we are ready also for this Le Castellet and on the way to be ready for Le Mans also with this project.
Now, because you're running an Oreca chassis at Le Mans and you were running the same car at Spa, very wet, then dry, a difficult race, did it teach you anything extra for Le Mans that you didn't expect to learn?
Not really, to be honest, not really. But as you make a lap, you learn something more, and for Le Mans also. If we have learned something, it's with the wet tires in Spa, because the risk of rain in Le Mans in September could be more important compared with the normal period in June.
And of course, yes, rain at Le Mans. It always rains, even in June, but in September, the night will be longer, the temperatures will be lower. So the tyre engineers are thinking maybe you'll run the soft nighttime tyre for much longer. Maybe the race will be the quickest Le Mans ever.
Could be, in fact, yes, really. To be honest, it's really interesting and enthusiastic to have another way of studies, and the spectrum of our thinking is a little bit more wide and different. So as you can imagine, all the engineers are on the subject about the night more longer, the temperature, the tire, etc., etc. So it could be different, and the part of the team job, it could be more important. And I am confident because I think it could be an add value for Signatech.
Well, of course, experience is so important when everything changes. The last time there was a Le Mans in September, you were at school, so none of us have that experience. But you won again in the 24 hours last year. So even though you've had a tough WEC so far this season, everybody will still look at Signatech Alpine as the team that they need to beat. And that's a good feeling as the team owner.
For sure. It's one of the best feelings I have. If one day we are not the main competitor, the main contender, make the sign that we are less performance. So we are very proud about this, and all the time Le Mans is the key for us and the key point of the season. So, and we were always ready for this big fight.
Finally, then, let's think about Le Mans. What for a team is the hardest thing about racing at Le Mans, and what's the best thing?
Hardest thing is to think about details, and because we know that the trouble can appear in the details. So we always thinking if we are think about this. It's like when you leave your house, if you have really well locked the door or not, and you come back many times to check. It's exactly the same. And the best thing is last year we make the perfect race. The cars stay on the track, never come in the pit. So the target is that the car must stay on the track all the time, even if the lap time sometimes is less quicker. You must stay on the track.
Well, Philippe, as the winners of last year's Le Mans, we wish you the very best of luck for this year, and happy 30th birthday. Let's see what it can bring you.
Thanks for that. Thanks for your support, and we will be ready for sure.
That's it for this WEC Talk. Thanks to all my guests, Philippe Sinault, Mike Conway, José María López, and of course, Louise Beckett. And thanks for listening. We'll be back with more in a month's time on Friday, the 25th of September. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.